Good morning. Today is Tuesday, October 22nd, and welcome to our weekly COVID update briefing. And I also have two special subjects I want to update you on this morning. Unfortunately, Bossier Parish has had a very serious increase in the past week. We are now in excess of 4,000 positive cases, 4,023 to be exact. That's an increase of 331 since our report last week, which is very, very serious. And unfortunately, we have had an increase of 6 deaths, which puts our total today to 117. The governor has announced that we will remain in phase 3 through Friday, November the 6th, or as extended by any subsequent proclamation or unless terminated sooner. And as I mentioned last week, the only change in this latest proclamation, the only major change in the latest proclamation was that athletic venues could start selling alcohol under several pretty tight control and conditions. They include such things as face coverings must be worn by spectators and attendees, and that patrons that purchasing alcohol are required to return to their seats, their ticketed seat to drink it. They can't stand up and congregate and drink them. Sales will not be made to patrons who are not wearing a mask, and social distancing and those sorts of things, disinfection, cleaning, and all will remain unchanged. The recent increase in positive states in no less than 41 states is very concerning for all of us, and Bossier Parish and the state has had its share. The goal is to be 5% or less in positives, and unfortunately, just this past week, we're at about double that. But it clearly indicates that the threat remains, and no one, absolutely no one, can assume that they will not become a victim of the COVID. Most medical experts predict that with the cold weather coming on, we might see a big increase in the number of positive cases due to people remaining indoors during the cold weather. So we shall see how that works out. As we know, some individuals are asymptomatic, but they can still infect others and cause illness and death. So we ask the young people to do their part as we continue to fight this pandemic. Wearing of the mask remains a major issue of concerns. It has been directed that every individual in Louisiana, age 8 or older, shall wear a face covering over the nose and the mouth inside a commercial establishment or any other public building or space, and this includes indoor or outdoor, and also on public or commercial transportation. And as I say, that's all individuals. And then just recently, the Center for Disease Control has determined that it is more likely that young children are more likely to contract and transmit the coronavirus than previously believed. The CDC now recommends that children as young as 2 and older wear masks. So as we await a safe way to deal with this pandemic that we got going on, what should we do to save lives, improve the economy, and remain in phase 3? The first remains that we remain to follow prevention and mitigation protocols, and I will cover those in detail in a moment. Next is get a flu shot. Do it as soon as possible. The Center for Disease Control and the governor urge everybody to get this vaccination to help prevent compounding the problem of having flu season and coronavirus occurring at the same time, the so-called twindemic. The governor has stated, and this is very important, that should there be an increase in the number of confirmed cases or number of related hospitalizations to the point that it affects our health system's ability to care for them, it may be necessary to go back to a lower phase of the recovery. Some legislators have expressed their concerns with the governor's emergency orders, feeling that they're too restrictive and harmful to business. The governor has indicated that he will wait till he sees the bill and assess them before he makes his decision regarding those bills. but he has stated that emergencies cannot be managed by a committee. The governor also has stated that he has relied on public health experts and the White House Coronavirus Task Force from day one to guide Louisiana's response to this historic emergency, and that to abandon these efforts would jeopardize the lives of our people and the gains that we have made. He cautions that we not retreat from progress made under his orders regarding our fight of this pandemic. The governor also believes, as do I, that it's incredibly important that we continue to follow the prevention and mitigation protocols, and I will summarize them as following. First, wear a mask. This is not particularly popular, but the almost universal consensus of medical experts is it does help prevent the disease and helps prevent sickness and death. Next, wash hands for at least 20 seconds. Cough into the bend of your elbow. Do not touch your face. Disinfect surfaces which are frequently touched, such as rails, doorknobs, those sorts of things. Social distance for at least 6 feet. If you're sick, stay at home. Follow the advice of your medical provider. And as always, avoid crowds. According to CDC, symptoms of COVID-19 may appear in as few as 2 days or as long as 14 days after exposure. A person is considered to have recovered when it has been at least 7 days after the onset of the illness and at least 3 days after resolution of fever without the use of a fever-reducing medication, and also resolution or improvement in respiratory symptoms. So if you have a question about coronavirus, a source that you can use is just call 211 and you can get information on the COVID situation. Contact tracing remains an important issue during this pandemic. Each individual who is tested positive will be contacted by the Louisiana Department of Health or official of that entity. The calls will be confidential, and the purpose is simply to identify everybody who was in close contact with a person tested positive. Close contact is defined as less than 6 feet between yourself and another individual which has the coronavirus for a minimum of 15 minutes. The call from the contact tracer will be from the Louisiana Department of Health, and the phone number that should show up, be visible to make sure it's a valid number, is 877-766-2130. I'll repeat that, 877-766-2130. This contact person will never identify you to anyone else, not share your name, your health information, and if you ever asked for financial information, hang up. The CDC, the Louisiana Department of Health, never asks for financial information. If anybody does ask you for it, hang it up and immediately call that same number, 877-766-2130, to report it. Also, as a matter of interest, this pandemic has caused stress in a lot of folks, and if you just want to call and talk to a counselor about it, you can call that same number 24 hours a day. It's no cost, it's confidential, and they will be helpful to discuss issues which may be stressful for you. There are two other subjects of which I would like to remind all of us about, and they are the election coming up on Tuesday, November the 3rd, and Halloween on Saturday, November the 31st. First, on the national elections and local elections, which is now only 12 days away, on Tuesday, November the 3rd. On the national level, we will be voting for a president, a senator, and a congressman. On the local level, we will be voting for a public service commissioner, for a Bossier city attorney, and 7 proposed constitutional amendments, which are briefly summarized as follows. Statements concerning abortion, number 1. Number 2, taxing oil and gas wells. Number 3, using rainy day funds for disaster recovery. Number 4, limiting state spending. Number 5, granting a local business tax option. Number 6, freezing assessment levels. And number 7, creating an unclaimed property fund. So those 7 suggested changes to the Constitution will be on that ballot also. And also there will be a statewide proposition on the ballot in all 64 parishes to allow sports betting in parishes where voters approve it. Early voting will continue through Tuesday, November the 27th, and photo identification is required. October 30th is the last day to request a mail-in ballot. So, go vote. The polling hours are from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., so exercise your right to select the person you believe be the best in these very important elected positions. The second issue I just wanted to briefly discuss is Halloween on Saturday, October 31st. I have recently received a question about will Halloween be canceled or restricted anyway in Bossier City this year. The answer is no, it has not and will not be. It'll go on as normal, and we simply ask that everybody, all drivers, be especially careful on that night due to the number of children and parents and others out on the streets. I want to thank all of you for your participation in fighting this pandemic. We still have a lot to do, but we're slowly and surely getting there. Our next briefing will be Thursday, October the 29th. This concludes our briefing. Thank you and good day.